Yo, what's up? We're back. This is Raw and Uncut. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Those that are still here with me, I appreciate you. Those that's gone, I appreciate you too. Thank you for stopping by when you did. New folks here, thank you for coming. Thank you for peeping. I don't know what I'm gonna do tonight, to be honest with you. Last night we did part one of my brother being shot 5 times. And there's a lot to that story. That's why it's part one. There's a lot more parts to it, but I'm just trying to see what I feel like. Let's talk about conflict. Let's talk about conflict. Let's talk about being confrontational. Let's talk about standing your ground as a man for what you believe in, right? And what you believe is right. See, there's a lot of folks nowadays, especially guys, males, I should say. I'm not gonna say men, males, that they don't believe in standing their ground. They don't believe in having a backbone. They don't believe in being themselves. A lot of them, let's say men and women now, male and females, they don't even think for themselves. They don't know how to be themselves. They're afraid to be themselves. They want to be like someone else. They see somebody on TV or in a movie or in a video, something on TV, and they want to be that. There's nothing wrong with chasing that dream, but dressing like them, acting like them, I don't know, man. Is it me or why is it? I don't wear Jordans, and I don't care if dudes wear Jordans. They're men's basketball shoes. And I know that some of the younger females wear them too, and it's whatever. I don't look at them. They're too young for me. I don't pay attention. 19, 20, 25, whatever. I don't really look at that. But it's when I see bitches, excuse me, when I see chicks, my age, fucking 47, 48, 49, 50, and she's wearing Jordans. And some people are going to be like, well, what does it matter what people do? Let them do whatever they want. That's the problem. People don't give a shit about tradition anymore. I know things have changed. Like I don't dress like the average 48-year-old male either. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not trying to be something I'm not. This is who I've always been. These people that I'm seeing are in their 40s and now 50s, late 30s, and they're dressing like it's like a costume. Like when I see these women, okay, there's a woman I know. All her life she was square as fuck. Her family's all cops and everything. But she always loved gangsters and she loved that side of life. So she always wanted to be part of it somehow. The older that she gets, the more involved with the streets she becomes. And this bitch is law enforcement too. To go to pa caer la chingada, how they say it, to throw it away. And when me and her were together, I know she liked the fact that I was from the street, but I wasn't a gang banger. But I was from the street and very connected with a lot of people. And she liked that about me. I could tell. Because she's always on the other side of life. She was law enforcement. Her whole family's law enforcement. Her ex-husband was. She is. And she's never dressed like gangster or nothing like that. Just always just regular ass Mexican girl from Madera, from the country, infatuated, thinking she knows what gangster is, right? Well, after me, she's been in like 2 or 3 different relationships. And the relationship she was with, the guy that she was with in this relationship, is a dude in his late 40s, does meth, does coke, sells weed, thinks he's a gangster. The dude don't know nothing about the street life other than he knows people that want to be like his big homies are squares that didn't last in the game end up getting murdered in jail or on the street quickly. They didn't really last because they're not from that. They were from like somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? Like in the boonies in Albury or Deep Clovis, whatever. And then they come up into the hood and then they want to be part of the hood and somebody puts them on, they end up going to prison and they're done. They get up in there, mixed up into some shit, and then they come back out to the street and then they end up bad and they end up getting killed. Well, this chick thinks she's street because she's a part of somebody who knows dude that got murdered. The dude that she's dating, that was his friend. And so to her, it sounds like he's, oh yeah, my homie that did 7, 8 years, got out, now he's got murdered, and it's driving me crazy now because that's my boy, blah, blah, blah. One of those things. And this fool's like running amok in the street, 45 years old. Decide you want to be a banger in the street at 45 years old, bro. Like 40 years old, 35, 30. Bro, if you didn't pick that stupid shit up from your teens, bro, or you were born into it with your family, like a lot of motherfuckers were, a lot of the real bangers were born into it. It was like a fucking team. It was like a factory putting out gangbangers, not gang members. Not gang members, gang bangers. There's a difference between bangers and members. And then these youngsters will be like, oh yeah, if you're active or you ain't active. All these words they come up with, right? And me, I was always around it because everybody I knew, with the exception of myself, were all gangbangers. And the cats that I was around, they used to laugh at me because they'd be like, man, Rob's the only one that's not banging or whatever. And I never did. You never saw me going out there trying to bang, being a wannabe. You know what I'm saying? Even though all my homies were, and they were hard bangers, and my brothers, you know what I mean? The homies were bangers. George, Caesar, Oscar, Beckas, Chris, Smiley, my brothers, starting to get into our own shit. You know, you see who can do what and who's about what. And it's just, you go through that shit as a youngster when you're born. You're in the hood. You're born into the ghetto. It's just that life that's there. You don't go looking for it. It's there. It's there. It's right. It's centered around you. You are kind of the nucleus of what goes on in these hoods. When you were born in them hoods and you come from the street and stuff like that, they got their own little family that runs the neighborhoods and shit. So when you as a family start moving into a neighborhood and you don't know nothing about that neighborhood, you start coming up in it, there's going to be some wars. There's going to be some trials and tribulations. There's going to be a lot of funk, a lot of problems. I just trip out though, because there was a young homie. I'm not going to say his name. He's older now. He's been in prison for a long time. He got out years back and then he did some shit and he ended up going back in for I think he got 20 or got life or something like that, or he's getting out in about another 5 or some shit. This was a long time ago. Well, this cat, he's the big homie now. He's been down for a long time. Altogether, more than 25. You know what I'm saying? And he's the big homie now, though. But I ain't seen him in years. And he ends up jumping into the same gang of a dude that we had beef with all these years. Inside, though. I ain't seen him. I ain't spoke to him. The last time I seen him, I thought we were cool, which I'm sure we are. But I used to protect him from a common enemy. One time he was 3 streets down from my house. I don't want to say the street, but he was on that street and he was chilling with a homegirl. And he calls me. He's like, hey, Rob. I was like, what's up? He's like, hey, you know, whoop-de-whoop. It's out here, man. I'm trying to walk back to your guy's house, but this fool's just sitting outside in his bucket, this little 4-door bucket. And he's waiting for me to come out because he says he's going to fuck me up. Because this fool, the little homie now, who's the big homie, who's done all these years now, but back then, he was the little homie and he used to talk a lot of shit to the older homies that ran that street. He used to yell from the yard when they were down the street, and then they would catch up with him. And he would, I'm I'm not gonna go as far as say he was scared, but he didn't want to come out the gate, and he was calling me to go over there to back him up. So on more than one occasion, I went over there with a baseball bat, walked my ass 4 blocks down, went up in there, and when I get there, he wants to come out. He's all in the house, but when I get there, he wants to come out. They're down the street. You can see him. I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Man, fuck that fool, blah, 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 blah." And he starts yelling, "Fuck you, motherfucker, blah, blah." I'm like, "Hey, fool, don't do that. What are you doing?" I got a Louisville Slugger in my hand. I'm there to help him, to protect him. But instead of him saying, "All right, let's just be out," because we're not trying to funk with these fools. This is their hood. This is their street. We're youngsters at this time. What, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17? Something 17, 18. I'm 17, 18. Herm's, oh shit. He's about 15, 16, something like that. But we start walking off. They're pulling up in their cars. We hit the main street, middle of the night. What, it's 9, 10 at night, not middle of the night, but like 10 at night, 10:30. And we're walking. I got the bat. Herm takes the bat from me because they're cruising on the side of me, and he's telling me, "Oh, you taking this motherfucker's beef on, dog? You gonna take his beef on?" And I'm like, "Damn, I don't even know what the beef is." And I just told him, "I don't know what the beef is, bro, but it ain't right. If you guys are trying to jump him, just fuck him up one-on-one, head up." He's like, "Fuck you, fool. You want beef too, then, motherfucker?" And I said, "Hey, bro, I'm just trying to help him so you guys don't jump him." And he was like, "Man, fuck this, da da da." And they took off. We got to the house safely, but then from that point moving forward, there was a big war between us and that guy for years, and years and years. And it just got real ugly. It got real ugly. And that's how it is when you're in the street and you're really heavily in the street. You gotta have enemies. If you ain't got no enemies, you were never really in the street like that. Because if you were in the street like that, you got true to life enemies, bro. That if you see people, it's on sight. There's somebody dying. When you're from that life and you leave that life, that always remains the same. That never changes. See what I'm saying? But I brought that up about the homie because the last time I seen him, that's what I was doing for him. I was protecting him. And his little homie, some weenie ass dude, he's dead now. Somebody got him in jail. They killed a few of them fools up there. But you know what I'm saying? It's give me a second here real quick. Sorry about that, but nevertheless, like I was saying, there's a lot of people that proclaim that they're from something or whatever, and it doesn't mean anything if you are from the street or if you aren't. It doesn't mean you're better than anyone. It doesn't mean you're dirtier than anyone. But what it should tell people is you know how to survive. Because when you're just swimming with sharks, if you ain't a shark, you're in trouble. If you're in the water and there's sharks everywhere, you either better be a shark and a savage shark, or you're gonna be food. It's just what it comes down to. And coming up in the game, it was different because I was trained. I was groomed by my paisa homies from Mexico. Like I said before in other videos, they took me under their wing. They showed me the ropes. They showed me how you do it, how you move. You don't show your money off. You know what I mean? You're not out there driving something fancy where everybody can see you. And that's the way it was in the old school, late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s. You see some people with cars here and there. But if these guys were dealing like large chunks, they did it under the radar. It didn't become so out in front until like the 2000s, late 2000s, where it was kind of out in front. In terms of people showing their money and going against the grain and not, living up to the code, you know what I mean? And everything started to change. And me, I worked my way up from making $45 a day starting. Then when I started doing my own thing, I'd start making $200, $300, $400, $500 a day. It took me a while though, for like the first few months of actually going on my own completely. Um, this is probably a few months after my brother-in-law got deported and got caught at the border, and went through a rough patch there where they I ended up getting this car, this Cutlass. It was an '83 Cutlass Supreme two-door. One of my paisa homies, Javier, Miguel, whatever you want to call him, the little short homie from Veracruz. Um, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, wait, hey, wait, ¿qué está haciendo, way?" How that fool used to talk and shit. A little short fool, a little short dark fool. That's the homie right there. ¿Qué está haciendo, way? I'm like, nada, way, ¿qué haces? I was at the house. We lived right there on Lewis. I was at the house. This is 1994, so 17 going on 18. And he goes, no way, and tengo una pinche problema. And I said, well, what's up, bro? What's your problem? He said, tengo un pinche carro, güey, que está parqueado en unos apartamentos que una muchacha que le estaba cogiendo, güey, y todo se fue mal ya, y me está diciendo que me va a quebrar todos los pinches vidrios del carro y todo, and basically telling me, if you don't understand Spanish, that he's in a fucking pickle because he has his car, an '83 Cutlass, parked in some apartments over here of this girl that he's been fucking, but everything just went bad with that girl, and she's telling him he needs to get the fucking car out of there, or she's gonna bust all the windows out of it. And the reason I'm laughing right now, because what's more funnier, telling you this story right now, what he's telling me at the time, that 20 years later that would happen to me, is crazy. But let's get back to this story. uh Javier calls me and he's like, just telling me, he's like, anybody who wants to buy it? And I'm like, fuck, not right now, bro. Like, I'm barely starting to stack my money again, bro. I got a few $100s right now. I just barely started dealing again. And he's like, okay, but if you know anyone who wants to buy it, man, $1,000 right now, they can go get it. I said, what's wrong with it? He said, nothing. It just needs a battery. He said, I took the battery out of it, that way nobody can steal it. Because it's a Cutlass. It's an '83 Cutlass, right? It's cream on the outside and burgundy on the inside. And I was like, all right, I'll let you know if somebody wants to buy it. And maybe about 2 hours later, he calls me again, and this is at the house. This is before cell phones, right? I didn't have my Motorola cell phone yet. I got that a few months later. Um, this is 1994, and he calls me back like 2 hours later. He's like, wait, hey, wait. I said, what? I said, what? He goes, okay, making sure we're good, all right? I said, what's up, bro? He's like, hey, wait, get us el pinche carro, way. And I was like, what the fuck? He's telling me now if I want the car, and I'm like, well, what happened? What's wrong with it? He said, no, este pinche puta, güey, quebró todo el vidrio del frente del carro. He said basically that she already busted out the windshield, front windshield of the car. She threw a brick through it. And they stole the two tires off of it. He had 4 brand new tires on. They stole 2 of them off of one side of the car. So the car, he said, needs 2 tires, and the windshield's fucked up and needs a battery. That if I want it, I don't need no keys. If I want it, I don't need no keys, because that's something else. We used to flip cars too back in the days. Chop shop. We used to do that shit too. We used to flip cars. We're like the first couple cats that started doing it. When it started going through the grain, I started hearing other people were doing something with cars. This person, and it trickled down to me. We started doing it in my mom's backyard. I'm gonna tell you about that too, the chop shop stories. But yeah, the car was flipped, and he told me he didn't have a key, but it was busted from the column still, like the way that the homies take them, and I learned to take them at the time. And the funny thing was, I'm the one that stole him that Cutlass. He needed a Cutlass to flip. He drove me to Madeira one night, There was this tan cutlass in this apartment complex. I got up in it, boom. A couple minutes later, a minute and a half to whatever it was. I was fast, but I wasn't as fast as my homies were. But I didn't sit there all night. I knew what I was doing. Um, Drove it out there, drove it back, and that's the car that he's trying to give me. Now he told me I just got to go get it before the cops go pick it up because it's all fucked up, and they're gonna say that it was just a car that was abandoned, and a tow truck's gonna come take it. And I was like, damn. And I was like, why'd you leave it there? He said, no, I'm with my baby's mom right now, and I can't even get away. She's with me, and I can't. She don't know anything about that car, and it's parked right in front of that girl's house that I was fucking. And I'm like, wow. So he just lost out on the car and told me that if I wanted to go get it before somebody picked it up. But that's the condition it was in. I needed a battery, the windshield, and 2 tires, 14-inch tires for a Cutlass, 14-inch rims and tires. So fuck, I said, all right. I went to the hubcaps and wheels real quick. I bought 2 wheels and tires for the Cutlass stocks. Stopped at Cragen, bought a battery, and said, fuck it. You know, me and my brother will kick the windshield out, and I'll just roll it like that to the house or something. So we get there, and sure enough, there's people standing around it already, and I just roll up, and they're like, oh, what's going on? I said, this is my car, man. And some guy was standing right there, and it's me and my brother, and I think a homie of mine. And my brother's like, how about if somebody tries to keep the car? Well, it's not their fucking car. So some dude comes out, some Mexican fool, he's like, hey, who are you and shit, homie? Like, who told you to come pick this car up and shit, dog? And I'm like, hey, fool, I talked to fucking Javier. And he goes, Javier, you know Javier? I said, oh, man, that's my fucking dog right there, bro. He called me and told me to come pick it up. He goes, why are you calling you to pick it up now? The window's all fucked up and it's missing tires and shit. I go, I don't know. Why don't you call him and ask him? He told me to come pick it up, bro. He gave it to me. Oh, are you serious, dog? He gave it to you? Let me, I want to look inside. Bro, it's my car. You're not going to look inside the car. Motherfucker wanted to look at, let me check the car out real quick. I said, nah, bro, I don't think so. And the homie was like, hey, dog, better back the fuck up. And so while that's going on, we start jacking it up, putting tires on it, put the battery in it, boom, boom, tighten everything up. 30 minutes later, fire that motherfucker up, starts right up. The windshield, we just tore, because it didn't want to come out, so we just tore a bigger hole so I could actually see through the windshield. So I could see through. I tore a big old hole in the middle right here like that, all in front of me. We tore a big old hole so I could see. But I didn't have no keys for it. I didn't have no papers. He lost a pink slip for it. And I was afraid if I drove it all the way home that I was going to get pulled over by FPD, right? Because it looks like a fucking stolen. It looked straight up like a G-Ride. It looked like somebody just ganked that motherfucker. Like I just stole it. Because the tires and the wheels don't match. The ones on the other side, they're stocks, but the tires have white balls on them. And on this side, they're stocks, but the tires are all black fucking wall. So depending if you can see the car 360 degrees or not, but if you're looking at it from one side on one side, it's going to look like everything matches, but still the window's busted out. So I end up just driving it through the back streets all the way back from Chestnut and Huntington all the way to Fresno and Lewis Street and parked that motherfucker in the back. End up next day, drove it to pick apart. They took the old windshield out, put a new one in for 140 bucks. About 2 days after that, I ended up buying some straight laced McLean's for it, put them on those tires. Then I had spokes on it. The car was clean. The car was running good. And I got it for free. But like a dumbass, I didn't even care about the paperwork or nothing. I didn't know nothing about it. I didn't even give a fuck. I drove the motherfucker like that. And got into some fucking missions with that motherfucker. The homeboy George, man, me and that cat, when I had the Cutlass, we was doing missions. I'm gonna have to call that fool George on a Zoom one of these days, see if he could Zoom right here and we'll talk about the crazy shit. For some reason, when me and George got together, it was, I mean, even one time he ended up getting shot. It wasn't because of me, but I was the one who was end up hitting the guy when the guy decided to pull the gun on both of us. But there was some stuff that went on. But anyways, man, I started going on to all kinds of shit. I just been talking. I don't even know what I've been talking about. I just know I've been talking about my life. And we went into that, and I just gave you guys some stuff. And I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it. And that was part 2, I guess. And we're just gonna keep going, and I'll just keep spewing stuff out, you know what I mean? Some real shit, real intriguing shit. And this camera's tripping. The camera's fucking tripping. Look at that. The fuck. But anyways, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. And it's crazy when you see folks in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s trying to push that street shit, especially when they ain't never been about it. That's not even them. It's different if they were that before and then they kind of fell back to it. You're like, they're just being them. That's who the fuck they are. You kind of give them a pass in a sense. Not all the way through, but at least that's who they are, right? You never see folks being older trying to get to that hood status. It's weird as fuck to see, bro. Like, it's just weird. And yeah, man. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine. When folks in their 30s, 40s, and 50s trying to go to the street and go backward, trying to live that street life. They're trying to be just involved in it and shit. Like, bro, like, fuck that. Once you lived, eaten, sleep, and breathed that shit for almost 30 fucking years, you don't want shit to do with that, bro. You don't want nothing to do with it. People knocking on your fucking door 24 hours a fucking day. You know what I mean? People trying to crawl into your fucking windows, people trying to rob you, people hating on you, bro, setting you up, trying to have you killed. Like, being successful in the hood and you're from the hood is the worst thing that can happen to you. Like, really? Having any kind of success in the hood, having any kind of success in the hood is the worst thing that can happen to you, because the envy just starts coming from everywhere. Everybody's jealous. All these fools coming up, shaking your hand, smiling. Oh, what's up, Rob D? What's up? What's cracking, my dog? Ooh, showing you all this love. You don't even know who these motherfuckers are, but they know your name and everything. And they're all showing you love, and you see them just wave to catch you slipping. And then things start happening. Man, I've gotten out in the middle of the night. How many motherfuckers will do this? I've gotten out in the middle of the night, be in mid fucking stroke with my wife, phone go off, and it's somebody close to me that needs my help, and hopped out of that mother, didn't put the dick back in or nothing, hopped back out, jumped up, grabbed my pistol, bitch came with me, drove me out there. I did some shit, saved their life more than likely. True story. I'm not gonna say no names, but I've done this before. Twice, not for the same person, two different people. I've done this for. And not because I ever expect anything in return, simply because that's the kind of motherfucker that I am. And the fact they knew that they could call on me to be there for them is what did it for me. Knowing that they could depend on me like that. That's all I needed. You believe in me, bro? I believe in myself. And you know who to come to when you got the funk. Because some people were just born for it, and some people avoid it. It's not all about having problems, not all about being cocky and all. It's just all about respecting folks, right? But in the hood, always people pushing a line, there's lines being pushed. You either gonna let that line get pushed on you or you're gonna resist. And there's different ways of resistance. There's different levels of resistance in the hood. You know what I mean? There's ways to be aggressive. You can be passive aggressive, you could be aggressive, you know what I mean? But the best way that would show people you don't fuck around was longevity. Once you had longevity and you never been arrested for drugs and snitched on nobody and never went in court and pointed somebody out so you can get out of time, you get arrested and you don't want to do the time. So you say, hey, man, I'll give you whatever I want, whatever you want, man. I just don't, I don't want to do the time, whatever the fuck, right? They go do that shit. Bro, when you've lived a life and you ain't ever had to do that, where you got popped and you can't do your time, so you start snitching on people and shit like that, nah. When you've lived that whole fucking life out like that and you never had to do nothing like that, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. It's a great feeling. But then again, we're going to end this one like this. What is the code if the code is no longer being followed? What does that code even mean anymore if it's not being followed? And years back, it stopped being followed and things twisted and changed, where a lot of solid people got hated on, robbed, killed out of envy in them streets. And you know a bunch of them. I know a bunch of them. We all know motherfuckers that have been murked up in the streets. They were robbed. They were set up. Women set them up. Homies set them up. A lot of it happened to a lot of dudes. They tried to do it to me 2 times. They tried to set me up twice. But you see, I'm still here. And nope, didn't have to go to the police. Didn't have to do nothing. Didn't have to say nothing to nobody other than my family and my friends. And you just move forward from there. So I just thank God every day. I'm humble that every day is a blessed day, and every day is not a day that's guaranteed. You just got to live it to the fullest of who you are and be yourself and exude that energy of being yourself, whatever that may be. But just find your true self. And that's how we're going to end that one today. This has been Raw and Uncut, raw content, raw reaction, part 2 of my bro being shot. But really, this thing got nothing to do with my bro being shot 5 times. But it has a lot of analog and dialogue, in it, leading into a lot of that. So we're going to keep it rolling, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking and subscribing. We'll catch you guys on the next one. And you know how we always do it, man. Peace.